There are so many uses for an email list. It's a huge asset, and I find that people just spend all of their time kind of worrying about, because it's complicated, worrying about, all right, well, how do I implement this? How do I get people, how do I get the software running and figure out how to use it and get people on there? But then they don't worry about, okay, well, I want to actually use it now and get the benefit of it. It helps you manage those ups and downs and gets more value out of your current customers. Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the NetBlaze podcast, marketing ideas for small businesses. Look, if you're concerned about getting new customers, keeping the customers that you have, and increasing the revenue, the lifetime value of those customers, and you've come to the right place, because we're here to help. Hey everybody, welcome back. And today we've got another really mission critical topic for you as a small business owner and with regard to your marketing activities. And that is coming up with, deciding, first of all, is it important for you to have an email list of your customers? Something that, a list of folks that you can email for various reasons, and we'll get into why that might be. But is that important? Is that something you should worry about? And if so, how could you do it? I guess probably no shocker, since we're doing a podcast episode on it. I think it's absolutely mission critical. It's one of the key core components of, what I think is that 80-20 rule for digital marketing, kind of that, what's the 20% of the stuff we should be doing that gives us 80% of the return on our investment, and having an email list and being able to communicate with your customers in that way, I think is absolutely critical. So what do I mean by that? Well, what we mean is basically having a repository, a list, a database of anyone who's ever done business with you, or, maybe even wanted to do business with you. Now, so anybody who's ever interacted with your business. Now, there's other advanced topics we can talk about, like, maybe you've got an email list of 500 potential leads, people who match your target demographics, and you might be cold emailing them and all that. But we're not talking about that. That's something that is, again, an advanced topic outside the scope of what we're talking about. So what we're talking about here is having an ever-growing list, repository, database of any person who has interacted with your business as a customer, or someone who's shown some sort of interest in your product or services. So why would you want something like that? Because it is, as we'll talk here, it's not a trivial effort. So if we think about getting new customers, keeping existing customers, getting the most, lifetime value out of your customers, those are the three things that we should be concerned about when we're evaluating marketing decisions for any business, certainly a small business. It's certainly not going to get you any new customers, right? If we're talking about just having a list of people that are already customers or have already shown interest, it's not a very powerful tool for getting new customers. Keeping your existing ones, heck yeah. I mean, if you can keep your name, in the minds of customers, if you can keep them abreast of, all the things that are going on with your company or your products and services, they're much more likely to use your services. If we're thinking about increasing the lifetime value of a customer, then absolutely. I mean, imagine just something as simple as, being able to send out a coupon code or something like that, or maybe send out some sort of a announcement or special when historically sales are low for whatever reason, and we'll talk about some very specific examples. It's an incredibly powerful tool to get more value out of every customer that you have. And remember, it's always so much easier to get more business from your existing customers than it is to actually get a whole brand new customer. I mean, there's been countless studies over years and years that have shown that, over and over again. And you know what? The last thing is, it helps with something else that's really important. One of the other things that's critical for the 80-20 rule is to get reviews, right? And if you have an email list of people that have used your services, well, that's a way that you can then regularly solicit reviews. And honestly, it's really the only way to get reviews. It's the only way to increase, your star ratings, and it's the only way to mitigate the results of a bad review, getting more new positive reviews. And it's really hard to do that unless you have some means of being able to reach out to your customers on a regular basis. So I can't overstate it enough. It's really important to do. It's one of the things that I think a lot of small business owners don't bother doing because there are hurdles, to making it happen. So let's talk about that. How would you implement something like this? We said you agree it's important, you want to do it. What do you need? You need three things. You need some sort of software to hold the list, manage the list. Imagine you can't have like a notebook or even an Excel spreadsheet or anything like that. It's just not robust enough. It doesn't allow you to do a lot of the things that you'll want to do with this list. So you need a specialized software tool, and we call those autoresponders in marketing speak, but it's a specialized tool that allows you to add customers, segment them if you want to, delete customers, obviously, but maintain this customer list that you can use for all the things we're going to talk about. So you need the software. The second thing is you need a strategy. Really, it's a set of strategies. You need a set of strategies to get people on the list, right? You can't just get software and now you have an email list and never tell anybody about it, right? Because then no one is going to ever be on your email list. And it could be just something as simple as if you have a point of sale system, you're a retail shop and you are asking for people's information, their email address. I'm sure this has happened to all of you. When people make a purchase, well, then it has, potentially an automatic interface. Boom, you're done. Okay, great. So every time somebody makes a sale, they give you their email address, and all of a sudden you are on, you're in their software, you're on their email list. So you need the software, you need a bunch of strategies to get people on your list into that software. And then finally, you need a strategy to use the email list. What are you going to do with it? It's great that you get the software. It's great that you have strategies to get people on the email list. It's great that you have it. But then what do you do with it in order to, again, keep existing customers, get reviews, and increase the lifetime value of a customer? So for the software, it's there are a bunch of products out there. I think that the downside to most of them is that they are very, very complex. They are used for a lot of different marketing. A lot of people that are, big national e-commerce companies use very, very sophisticated email marketing tactics. And, you're talking about being able to, segment customers into, who hasn't opened my emails in 3 months, who's never opened my emails, who has bought something in the last 10 days versus 30 days, who's a big ticket buyer, who's a lower ticket buyer, being able to split test, how many people open this kind of a subject line versus this subject line, how many people, it's very valuable, okay, for marketers, say like myself, who are involved in companies that are doing different things than a small local business would, but it's overkill for the local doctor's office, pizza place, dry cleaners, landscaping business. It's complete and total overkill because you're just not going to get involved in all of that stuff. And so, unfortunately, they just are a little bit hard to use. I would suggest that probably the simplest one to use would be something like MailChimp. A lot of small business owners use that. And again, it's software that allows you to store all these names, and then it also allows you to and I didn't mention this before, the other thing that the software does is that it allows you to use that list and email these people in various different ways, which we will talk about. It can do things like automated sending. So the minute somebody actually gets added to the list, they get an email. Maybe that email is welcome to the list. Here's a coupon. Maybe that email is please leave a review. Here's a link to my Google My Business page to leave a review, or my Facebook page, or my Yelp page, or whatever it is, right? Wherever you're needing reviews at the time. And then you can use them for bulk sending. You can go in and say, look, I want to send this message. Here's a coupon that I want to offer to everyone. So send it out to my whole list. And this is just so that you don't have to, you've all done group emails before from your Gmail account, and you sit there and you type in, all right, I want to send this to Steve and Mary and Donald and Joe. And that's just, obviously once you have more than 10 customers, that's silly to do, right? So you don't have to do any of that. You simply type your email into the software and you say, please send this out to everyone on my list, okay? Or you can have it send automatically. You can do all sorts of different things, and lots of advanced tactics, as I talked about. The other thing that we're not talking about here, but you should, and I always consider it the same thing nowadays, as far as having a tool that will allow you to do all this with email. You should have a tool that does texting as well. And more and more, unfortunately, MailChimp does not do that, but more and more tools out there. And I'll put a plug in for our NetBlaze tool. You can go to netblaze.com and you can see our marketing tool that's specifically for small business owners. And it allows you to capture email addresses as well as phone numbers, mobile phone numbers, because texting is really the new email. All the things that I talked about, the benefits of email, are tenfold on texting, because more people will open and read a text than they will an email. Okay. So having a tool that allows you to do both. Hey, I want to send this coupon out. I want to send this review request. I want to send this newsletter. Whatever it is. I want to send it to both email and text. That's really what you want. And again, there are not a lot of tools out there that allow you to do both. NetBlaze.com being one of them. There are, I'm sure, other autoresponders that do it. They're probably a little complicated to use. So that's the software right? We need software that is a database that allows us to store our customer information, their email address, their phone numbers, and it also allows us to send communications to them via email, via text, and to send it automatically based on certain conditions, like you just got added to the list, or based on the fact that I just want to go in and say, I've decided that right now I want to send this to everyone. Okay. So how do you get people into that database? How do you get people to be a part of your email list? Well, lots and lots of different ways. Most small business owners will use a combination of strategies. So we'll just talk about several of them. I mentioned one already, and that is if you have some sort of point of sale system, or you're using Square, you can use, usually there'll be a download function, or some companies have tools that directly interface, but somehow, some way, you're already capturing customer information in potentially in your point of sale system or your payment processing system. So you could just interface that directly into your email management software. And that's probably one of the easiest ways. Another way, and I know lots of small businesses that do this, they just type it in. They manually type it in. Like at the end of the day, they have a list of, here are the customers that gave me their information. I just type it into my software. So you could do that. A lot of companies now, and this is something that our software at netblaze.com offers, there's this facility called text to add. So you can have a little card or a sign in your business which basically says text pizza to 1234 to get added to our email list for valuable coupons and information. And so they take out their cell phone and they type in, or they write pizza, they text pizza to the number 1234, and all of a sudden it comes back and says, hi, thanks for joining us. I have your phone number now, but I'd love to have your email address. Could you type that in for me? And they type in their email address and hit send. And now, so you can do it all through texting. You can add them to the list through texting. You could have a form on your website that, you talk to your web developer. You can interface with MailChimp or, again, a product like NetBlaze.com or any of the other autoresponders out there for sure. And you can have a little form on the website that says, just put your email. You've all seen these. Put your email address here to get onto our mailing list for valuable, coupons and information. You could run a contest on Facebook. This is really popular, or there are other ways, Instagram and stuff like that. But you could run a Facebook contest that says, "Hey, we're giving away a free pizza. Just give us your email address to enter." And so they go to a contest entry form on your page, and that puts them into your email list and enters them into the contest as well. And then you could offer lots of different incentives. You could offer a coupon. You could offer a free consultation. You could offer, a free dessert. There's a million different things you can do, obviously dependent upon what type of business you're running. But you could offer some sort of incentive, both in person. You can have signs that do this, and combine that with text to add, or go here to this form. Or just put it on your website. I mean, somehow, some way, kind of get people excited to join. And you've all seen these kinds of things. The last thing is you can offer a QR code, and we have that built into our software as well. And it's very powerful because people can pick up their phone and they can put their camera on the QR code, and then it automatically sends them to a web page where they just enter their email address. And that's, mostly what QR codes are used for something like that, or to pull up menus or something like that. We'll have a whole episode around QR codes soon, I promise, because it tends to be confusing to people, but it's the simplest thing in the world. So there's lots of different ways to get people on your email list. Again, often most people use multiple strategies, and people combine strategies like an incentive with text to add, or an incentive with a form, or something along those lines. It's sort of surprising, and honestly, it was one of the big things that we built into our tool on NetBlaze.com, that there aren't a lot of software tools that allow you to do kind of both things all together very easily, like have software that manages all these emails and allows you to send things out and easily, and also helps you get people onto the list. They really don't do that. They're software that's very focused on email marketing. So again, one of the things that NetBlaze.com does is it sort of takes a holistic view of, well, we know you need the software to do all that. It will make that easy to do, but we also know you need these strategies to get people on. So it'll generate QR codes for you, and it'll create landing pages and stuff on here. Anyway, outside the scope of what we're talking about here, but it's just important to know that these are two big things you need. You got to have that software that handles it, but you also need to figure out, okay, well, how the heck am I going to get people onto the list? Okay, so finally, you've gone through all this trouble. What the heck are you going to use it for? There's so many uses for an email list. It's a huge asset, and I find that people just spend all of their time kind of worrying about, because it's complicated, worrying about, all right, well, how do I implement this? How do I get people, how do I get the software running and figure out how to use it and get people on there? But then they don't worry about, okay, well, I want to actually use it now and get the benefit of it, So bunch of different ways you could do it. I'll throw out a few examples. You can handle sort of the ups and downs of the cycles of your business a little bit better. Let's say, for example, you're a restaurant, and you know that on any given night when it rains, business is down 20%. Okay, well, maybe you look at the weather report and you see that it's going to rain tonight, and you send out a quick text and /email and say, hey, rainy day special, get here before 6 p.m. and you get a free appetizer, or 10% off this, or free dessert, or whatever the hell it is, right? Doesn't matter. But it helps you manage those ups and downs and gets more value out of your current customers. Maybe you're a retail place and you have overbought on inventory. So, you need to move some inventory, or there's a new version coming out of something. Well, great. Send out an email to everybody and say, hey, new model coming in. We're discounting the previous model. Come on in and grab them. There are some businesses that are cyclical for holidays, like Mother's Day. Let's say you're a florist, and Mother's Day is a big day for you. You get a lot of business. Well, you could double down on that with your email address, or with your email marketing. So, Mother's Day is coming up 2 weeks beforehand, whatever it is, send out a blast email and say, hey, Mother's Day is coming up. We're going to be busy. We might run out of capacity. Better sign up now. And so instead of, Mother's Day being twice as good as a normal day, maybe it's 3 times as good now, right? So you could double down on that. You can really communicate with people. You could send people a little wish on their birthday, send them a coupon code, because your software can say, if it knows when their birthday is, one of the things you capture, you can send them something. That's always good. Send out a newsletter, send out general news, just to keep yourself, don't do it every day. Don't do it every week even, but do it when you have something interesting to say, right? Certainly around like COVID, when all that was going on, there were changes in business hours and parameters about certain businesses, and so you can keep people up to date on that. And hopefully, maybe there'd be some good news. Maybe you added a new section to the store, you added something to the menu, you changed this service, you enhanced this service, something like that, something exciting, something that is fun to talk about and gets people excited. You could do like a lot of establishing authority, which is kind of brand building. Like, let's say you're a plumber, and you're getting lots of calls about, losing jewelry down the sink or something. I don't know. Then you could send out a bulletin, like a customer, a public service kind of thing that says, hey, here's some tips to not drop your rings down, or here are the 3 things you should do if you do drop your rings down, or something like that. I'm sure you've got better examples to use, but establishing authority, helping people, right? But establishing that you're the authority on this subject. So, they read this article about, not dropping their ring down the drain. And then 2 months from now, when they have a real plumbing problem, who are they going to remember? Well, they're going to remember you, because they got this email, they read it, and it was interesting to them, and it helped them. And you're the authority on plumbing now, because that sort of sticks in their mind. You could do customer spotlight or some sort of a case study. Those are always super, super powerful. Obviously, you need people's permission to share their information, but you can share how your business has helped someone, and that's always interesting to everyone. You could do polls or surveys. A lot of the software tools out there that handle email addresses and all that stuff allow you to send out surveys or polls. And that can be valuable in many different ways. You can get actually good information from your customers about, maybe you're thinking of adding a new menu item or a new service or a new product. You can get valuable information from people. But plus, it also keeps you in their mind, and it keeps you as an authority and all that sort of stuff. And finally, I mentioned this before, and by the way, when I say finally, there's a million other ideas you could do, right? We could be here for hours talking about them. But the last thing is getting reviews. So you can set it up so that automatically people get an email that says, hey, thanks for being a customer. Could you leave a review? That sort of thing. And it's super, super powerful. And honestly, it's one of the only really good, stable ways to consistently get lots and lots of good reviews. I can almost guarantee you that if you look at your competitors and they have lots and lots of reviews, that the way they're doing it is through email marketing or text marketing or a combination of both. I can almost guarantee it. So there you have it. That is all about email marketing, why it's really, really important for your small business, and sort of at a high level anyway, kind of the components of how you'd have to implement it. If you'd like us to help with your small business marketing, we would be so happy to do that. So come check us out over at netblaze.com. We've got software that handles this and all of the other really important things that are important for your small business marketing. Head over to netblaze.com and you can even get a free trial. So see you in the next episode.